Jita sat at the back of the car, his arms crossed, his face squeezed into a frown. The buildings of Lagos sped past the window, but he barely noticed them. All he could think about was the horror that awaited him. Boarding school will shape you into a man, his father had said, his voice firm, leaving no room for argument. His mother agreed, her eyes pleading as she added, "It's for your own good, Jita. You need discipline." Jita didn't want discipline. He wanted to stay home, play video games, hang out with his friends, and enjoy his freedom. But his parents had made up their minds. He was going to Unity High School, one of the strictest boarding schools in the state. He had heard stories, terrible stories, about wicked seniors who made juniors their slaves, cultists who did terrible things at night, and teachers who were monsters in disguise. His best friend, 2NDE, had even whispered about ghosts that haunted the old classrooms. Jita shivered, his eyes fixed on the road as they drove through the rusty gates of Unity High School. The buildings looked old, their paint peeling, the windows dusty. The air felt heavy, almost suffocating. He had a bad feeling about this place. Welcome to Unity High School. The moment Jita stepped out of the car, a tall, muscular man with a thick mustache approached. His face was hard, his eyes cold. "I'm Mr. Bello, the senior housemaster," he announced. "You must be Jita." Jita nodded, his heart racing. There was something about Mr. Bello's eyes that made his skin crawl. Mr. Bello led them to the dormitory, his voice strict as he laid down the rules. "Lights out at 9 p.m. No noise. No nonsense. And you better respect your seniors, or you'll face the consequences." Jita swallowed hard. He already hated this place. His parents hugged him, promising to visit soon, and then they were gone, leaving him standing alone in the cold, empty dormitory. Jita quickly learned that Unity High School was a world of its own, ruled by fear and power. The seniors were kings, and the juniors were their servants. If you were a junior, you fetched water, cleaned shoes, and did whatever the seniors demanded, or you suffered. His first night was a nightmare. Just as he was drifting off to sleep, a loud voice bellowed, "All juniors, report to Senior Coonley." Jita scrambled out of bed, his heart pounding. Senior Coonley was the most feared boy in school, a final-year student known for his wicked punishments. His eyes were cold, his face always twisted into a wicked grin. They lined up before Senior Coonley, trembling. He paced in front of them, his eyes cold and calculating. "You will learn your place here," he sneered. "Juniors are nothing but slaves." He pointed at Jita. "You, what's your name?" "J. Jita," he stammered. Senior Coonley's eyes narrowed. "From now on, you are boy. You don't have a name until I say so." Jita's face burned with shame, but he dared not argue. Senior Coonley made them do frog jumps around the dormitory until their legs gave out. Then he ordered them to fetch water for his bath, 3 buckets each, from the far end of the compound. Jita's arms ached, his legs trembled, but he didn't dare complain. That night, as he lay on his thin mattress, his body sore, he silently cursed his parents for sending him to this place. It didn't take long for Jita to notice that Unity High School was full of dark secrets. The students were divided into groups, each with its own reputation. There were the cultists, boys who moved in silence, their faces hard, eyes cold. They gathered at night in dark corners, whispering in low voices. No one dared cross them. Then there were the smokers, boys who snuck behind the old classroom block, filling the air with the sharp smell of cigarettes. They were loud and wild, always getting into fights. Jita heard whispers about the lesbians in the girls' hostel, girls who held hands in secret and shared whispered promises. He didn't understand it, but he knew it was dangerous to talk about them. And then there were the teachers. Jita quickly learned to avoid Mr. Akapan, the English teacher. The seniors warned him, "Don't stay alone with Mr. Akapan. He likes boys." Jita's skin crawled whenever Mr. Akapan looked at him, his eyes lingering a little too long. He did everything he could to stay out of his way. Unity High School was not just a school. It was a battlefield. And Jita was caught in the middle. One day, Jita met Sei, a fellow junior who had been at Unity High School for 2 years. Sei knew everything about everyone. He warned Jita about the cultists. They're the most dangerous. They control everything: food, water, even the teachers. Stay out of their way. Jita listened carefully, grateful for the advice. But there was something about Sei that made him uneasy. His eyes were always shifting, his voice low, as if he was hiding something. One night, Sei shook Jita awake. "Follow me," he whispered. "There's something you need to see." They snuck out of the dormitory, moving through the shadows, avoiding the night guards. Sei led him behind the old classroom block, where faint whispers floated through the air. Jita's blood ran cold. In the darkness, he saw a group of boys standing in a circle, their faces hidden by hoods. They chanted softly, their voices low and rhythmic. In the center of the circle lay a dead chicken, its blood pooling on the ground. Jita's stomach turned. What is this?" he stammered. "The cultists," Sei whispered. "This is how they get their power. They make sacrifices to the spirits." Jita felt sick. He wanted to run, but his legs wouldn't move. One of the cultists looked up, his face half hidden by his hood, his eyes glowing in the darkness. Jita recognized him, Senior Kunli. Fear gripped his heart. If Senior Kunli knew they had seen this, they were as good as dead. Sei pulled him back. "Come on, before they see us." They ran back to the dormitory, their hearts pounding, their breaths ragged. That night, Jita couldn't sleep. His mind raced with questions and fears. Why had Sei shown him this? And what would happen if the cultists found out they knew their secret? Unity High School was more dangerous than he had ever imagined. Jita realized he was trapped. The shadows of Unity High School were closing in on him, and there was nowhere to run. But the worst was yet to come. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more amazing stories.